Moving out to Lander, I was just in love with the mountains, and I didn't know that I could ever love the desert until I ventured out into the red desert for the first time.
You see it from the side of the road and you're like, oh, there's not much going on. The mountains are a lot more enticing. But then once you get out into the desert, you realize how beautiful that place really is.
Being able to be in the backcountry on a bike, carrying everything that you need, is so empowering. I think especially because so many people think it feels really intimidating.
I don't have much experience with bikes, let alone bike packing. There's a little bit of like questioning, like, this could be challenging.
Headwinds was produced in cooperation with Sweetwater County Travel and Tourism and with support from the members of Wyoming PBS.
The Red Desert is, as a place, is my favorite place on the planet.
When you really slow down and you start to look and you see the beauty of it, you see all the things that are living and thriving there, it's really amazing and it's kind of inspiring.
There is a lot there, and each of those things tends to be extremely unique and surprising for Wyoming.
It's a jewel. It's kind of a hidden jewel in the state of Wyoming, but it still has some sacredness and history connected to tribal people.
After dealing with all the stresses of the modern world and technology, to go out there and hear the meadowlarks and the wind and commune with nature is good for the soul.
This is where the dirt road kind of starts out. And so I was thinking day one, right along here and camping.
We've gone on bikepacking trips previously in the red desert, and we were like, man, this year we should make it a thing. I mean, we should do a bikepacking trip in the red desert, but we should do it with intention, and we should do it to teach people about bikes and the landscape. We'll start our trip on the west side of the red desert, north of Rock Springs, and we'll end in Atlantic City, where we'll spend some time learning about the red desert with John Nyensinski.
John is a career wildlife biologist, and he has spent more time out here in the red desert than any person I've ever met.
I'm still kind of just like, oh my gosh, I can't believe they thought about me, wanted me to come along. Because the reality is I don't have much experience with bikes, let alone bike packing. And so I think part of the appeal is also how do I learn from these people that have so much knowledge and have so much experience with bikes?
I think at its core, bike packing is moving across a landscape on two wheels, carrying everything that you need to survive for at least 2 days. I'm gonna go with that as my definition.
It's not too dissimilar from backpacking. If you've been on some backpacking trips, all you have to do is kind of learn a little bit about bike maintenance, where to put those items on a bike, a different bag set, but it's incredibly similar.
We got Scandinavian swimmers, the sour editions. Sunscreen, easy place to get it. It's definitely new to trying to figure out how to put everything on a bike and being well, that's all the space I have. So we're gonna have to get rid of all those extra creature comfort items and just go down to almost the basics.
I definitely like having a visual of everything I'm gonna bring. Just easier. My brain is thinking about a bunch of stuff. I do like to take things slow. I mean, I like to knock out miles and get to a destination and have a camp and keep things pretty, consistent with my plan and what I wanted to do. Sometimes when I'm out there, I get anxiety with logistics and maps. Totally. Actually, that might be my fear. One of my fears is oh no, we're changing the route. What? What did you just tell me? And I'm learning. I think in the past year and a half, I'm learning. It's okay if we go a different way.
Going bikepacking!
How's it going?
Man, I'm psyched.
Heck yeah.
Going downhill from my house, I was this would be great. And then the first uphill we hit, I'm gonna be oh god. Pack too much water.
You got it, come on down. All right. I don't know Val as well. She's a prolific rock climber here in town, but I think has got into bikepacking just because she's strong and wants to learn a new sport.
Both things, you're kind of just looking for adventure, something to like push yourself. I think there's a lot of the physical, like where are my limitations, or like what is the next cool thing, big thing that I can do.
This is my first bikepacking trip in 5 years, I think. I think the legs will definitely remind me what we're doing, you know? A lot of us, started riding bikes when we were little kids. As we get older, sometimes life gets in the way and we don't ride bikes as much as we used to. But I'm looking forward to being immersed in the outdoors, and your only job that you have to do that day is get up and ride your bike.
All right, this is challenge number 1. Fully loaded bikes.
This tailwind isn't hurting, I'll tell you that.
Dude, I am psyched on the tailwind. I'm like, don't mind if we do.
Yeah, there might be a reason why we're riding east.
Was that actually part of the plan?
Oh yeah.
Hell yeah. I like the way your brain works.
I'm the most happiest version of myself when I'm riding a bike. Having a bad day, I go for a bike ride. Having a great day, have an even better day after I've gone for a bike ride. It's just like this wonderful conduit to a better version of myself.
Sand dunes are getting closer.
Look at those little dunes.
The Killpecker sand dunes are significant. They're North America's largest living dune field of moving, ever-changing sand dunes. Anytime you have a high point in the landscape, wind and water and ice are going to break that rock down into smaller and smaller particles. The Killpecker sand dunes formed from the sediment, really in the Green River Basin, sediment being brought down by rivers and by glacial activity. And the good old Wyoming wind picking that sediment up. And whenever wind is forced through a landscape where it slows down or has to rise, it'll drop its sediment load.
There's pockets within the sand dunes of low points where it goes down to the soil, which is usually clay. And the clay will hold the water. So as the snow turns into ice and then melts in the summer, it'll fill up these low points with water that stays there, surface water then. And all the animals know where that is. In the spring of the year, they come there.
From a landscape perspective, it's just fascinating to wander through these large dunes and interact with ponds and waterfowl, in such a surprising way. I love dunes. I think they naturally bring out a playfulness in people. They're just fascinating. They're always changing. It's amazing and surprising and fun that there's such an active, large sand dune, basically hiding right there in the red desert.
That wind totally blew me off my bike once.
I was like, I can't weigh more than 100 pounds. She's gonna get blown off of her bike.
It was a total like backwards, kind of off of this side. Oh. Check this out. Doesn't that look awful? Look at this. It's like climb, red.
That's slightly concerning, but it's fine.
It's only 647 feet. That's what it says though.
Yeah.
Maybe that's not bad.
We got this.
Yeah. Here goes.
There's a lot of emotions I can nostalgically feel about the Red Desert. Just the feeling of being small in a big place is humbling. And that humbling experience is something people need. They need to feel that. I think it's a necessary nutrient we don't get much of these days. We're taught we have to be strong in our career or in our family. You have to do certain things that prove your worth. But out in the desert, when you're all alone walking and you don't see anybody else, you're vulnerable. You're humbled by the landscape, and the weather will humble you. Just the wind sometimes, or blowing snow. In a place like the Red Desert, you can be the underdog.
Oh man, look at that. That's why we're here. Oh my gosh, it's so beautiful. Good job, you guys.
Okay, and then the next crux of these things, I always put way too much water in, and then I'm like, I guess I'll enjoy this noodle soup. Yeah.
Why is there music coming from the printer?
Wait, you gotta give us a second to think on these.
Okay.
Why is there music coming from the printer?
Maybe the paper is jamming.
That was a good one. I like that.
It was.
The reason that I enjoy bikepacking so much is the people that I get to spend time with, and this group just makes me really happy.
Why are elevator jokes so classic and good?
Because they lift you up.
Because they rise to the occasion.
Oh!
Is that right?
No, but that's good. No, they work on many levels, but I like your
answer. The outdoors has been less of like, I go there to be outside, and it's been more of, I go there to be with the people that I meet there and the experiences that I get to have.
It's about headlamp time.
It's about headlamp time. Also, it's about bedtime time. Seriously.
Fatherhood, especially these first couple of years, have been definitely their own adventure. You know, something different, but it's been really great to be able to get back and do something I used to do a lot in the past. I don't know, maybe I'm grappling with aging. I turned 40 this year, and I don't miss old Mike. I'm thankful for what I have right now and the new adventure of parenthood, and I think that's the whole like cool part about life is it's constantly changing, and as you go through it you realize that the new thing is super fun. So have a lot of fun in the moment because it might not be there in the future, but the new thing's super cool too.
Judging by these clouds, I think we ought to start rolling. They're building faster than I anticipated.
It's really pretty out here right now.
Yeah.
God,
a lot of
view.
depth, yeah.
What a view.
The Tri-Territory site is a monument to the past when the European powers were focused on trying to dominate North America. The Spanish territories and France and England and the United States, all of those interests collided at that one little point on the map. The Continental Divide was the western border of the United States legally in our relationships with other nations. And then on the 4th of July, 1836, two young missionary women on their way to Oregon crossed the divide, and people said, well, if they could do it, my wife can do it, my daughters can do it. And so suddenly 500,000 people poured through South Pass with their covered wagons to the west coast. Basically, we just took it over with our population and went to war with Mexico and threatened to go to war with Great Britain over the Pacific Northwest. That Tri-Territory site is a reminder of how the United States became a continental nation and a global power.
I love these pedals, but I do kind of think the next ones I get will be the flat on one side with the clip on one.
Yeah, like
and the
Becca
flat on
has. She's got clip-ins on one side
Totally
and flats on
does.
the other.
Yeah.
I started working at the shop, and Mike was actually not around for the first couple months that I was working there. And he came back to work at the shop full time, and he was immediately like, okay, let's do these little classes in the morning. And so we went through this series of, he would break the bike, show me how to do it, and then break it again, and then I would fix it. He has this passion to teach people about bikes and how to fix them. He's a very inspirational person, and he's taught me a lot.
Woo! Oh, hey-oh. I got bogged down in a little mud there. Shoot. That's one thing about the roads out here. They can turn muddy quick. God dang it. It's crazy that just like a little bit of water will make it cake like that.
You'll push it for like 2 seconds.
It's totally futile effort. And then, wow, seriously rolled at about 3 feet. Gravel bikes are fast right up until this moment.
I think we have like 8.9 miles left of this road. So if it continues to be this way, I will slowly get more frustrated.
When we were like in it, I was like, we want to drive a road for miles. 20 minutes later, here I am and wanting my sunglasses. I think like having to problem solve, having to face some challenges, having to like dig a little deep is part of the fun of it. That's why people like adventures in general. That's why I like it. I'm like super psyched on astrophotography in the Red Desert just because the light pollution out here is nil. Ideally a tripod would have been better, and now I'm sort of kicking myself for not spending the extra 5 minutes to try and find it. I'm basically just gonna set up the composition that I want, and then once it's dark out, I'll actually pull focus on the stars. And this time I'll actually take the lens cap off. I hate when I do the thing where I'm like, wow, I really can't see any stars. And then it's because I have a lens cap on.
The idea of protecting the night sky, protecting darkness, is something that is actually inherently important to us as human beings, whether it's our phones, our alarm clocks, our night lights, headlights, street lights. There is light on all the time.
The Red Desert is kind of a portal into the star country because you could see in every direction, and the horizon is the beginning of the stars. The Red Desert is unique there too because there's no lights. You can't see the stars for most cities, and then outside of cities you get the glare of cities.
Light pollution is any light that occurs at night that is not natural. Anywhere that there is a population of people, they're going to have some level of street lights that are projecting up into the sky. And at a distance, you will see that light shining up into the sky. That's city glow. The great thing about light pollution is it is a totally solvable problem. When we think about air pollution or water pollution, those are really big challenges to tackle. Light pollution just involves turning off the light and just really be thinking about, do I need this light? How much light do I need? And how can I protect that light from being wasted and shining in spaces I don't need it to be? This is something where if we all do our little part, we can make a huge difference. It's our job to make sure that we can keep these dark skies for future generations to enjoy.
Being able to take these photos of this incredible night sky it's just such a good reminder of in the grand scheme of things, we don't really know what the meaning of any of this is. So we get to sort of choose what the meaning we ascribe to life is. And I choose getting to hang out with my friends and go bikepacking. And it's pretty great that we can get that reminder just from a photo.
Ooh, really feels good to be hiking instead of biking.
Darn tootin'.
Different leg muscles.
I really like the Honeycomb Buttes as a beautiful place to go when you want solitude and you want to maybe escape the world. You have this sense there that you're enclosed in this maze of badlands.
The colors in the Honeycomb Buttes come from different amounts of oxidation of the iron in those sediments. So the oxidized layers will be more of the pinks and the purples, just like rust. If those sediments are in a place where they aren't exposed to oxygen, you'll have green colors, gray colors that are the reduction of the iron. The Honeycomb Buttes are capped by tan or white colored bands, and those are more rich in the ash from the Absaroka volcanic field. For a geologist, every rock unit or even landform is telling a story. And so that's what's great about geology. It's telling a story of Earth's past and helping people understand how to read that story.
We're going to end our bikepacking trip here at John Mindzinski's house, and he's going to go teach a botany class in the morning. But before he goes, he's going to show us some of the artifacts he's found out in the Red Desert.
So you could pass these around and look at them. But this is from the Oregon Trail. Oxen shoes were in two parts with the cloven hooves. When they left Missouri, those were about 3/8 of an inch thick. And by the time they got here, they were paper thin. Now this is a soldered can from the Oregon Trail. This kind of soldering was probably from the 1860s.
The manifest destiny of covered wagons and saying we're going to go discover, we're going to homestead. There's a history way before that. The Red Desert still holds a significance to many tribes and to many people. You know, I'm sure there's remains out there. There's objects that was left out there. There's petroglyphs, there's rock art that showed our presence there. The spirituality is very close to us as tribal people, and the land always plays a part in that. The concept and use of those areas has changed over time, but it remains the same in terms of our spirituality and our stories. We got a lot of history written about us, but it's not written by us. That's the issue. It's not written by us. Archaeologists have their stories, and sometimes those don't coincide with the oral stories of the tribes. But it's time for us to really tell our own story and continue to tell that story from our perspective. With the distractions we have from day to day, everything's so fast-paced, and there's very little room for patience and time to sit down and listen. Listen to the older folks in your family. Listen to stories. Take time to do that because it's important. It's important.
We have lost something, maybe. I believe we lost things that we're hungry for, and we don't know how to get them. And it was part of this world that we need to relearn somehow. And the way I think we relearn it is to be curious and ask questions. So now I have to go, but thank you for being an inspiring group of folks.
When you have a backstory that goes along with the landscape, it just makes it that much more meaningful. So I think that's made the Red Desert an even more special place for me.
I really appreciate the small details that these wild places like the Red Desert present to us and give to us. And it will teach you things when you slow down and just kind of appreciate it.
This trip has been really cool to be able to get back to just riding bikes with friends and just kind of see time slow down a little bit. I'm incredibly thankful for places like the Red Desert.
There's definitely ups and downs, but every adventure ends up being empowering, no matter how many hardships you go through. It really makes me look forward to the next trip.
Headwinds was produced in cooperation with Sweetwater County Travel and Tourism and with support from the members of Wyoming PBS.